the Overman Warrior Podcast.
All right, let's talk about Supergirl. I really, I haven't seen the movie yet. I know the actress made some stupid comments during promos, and it's the same kind of dumb thing that happened with the Snow White, with that girl who was played Snow White. You don't want to go out there and say that the people who are going to go see your movie, the Christian dads, who might otherwise go see Supergirl, take their kids to go see Supergirl. You don't want to alienate them because of what she did, this actress, during promos for Supergirl, went out and made fun of dads with a couple kids and that have Christian backgrounds and didn't, weren't crazy about her being Supergirl. And when you're doing promotional stuff, you kind of have to put you have your opinions. It doesn't mean you go out there and be a phony, but that doesn't mean you go out there and tell everybody honestly what you're thinking of them. That's not what promotional work is supposed to be about. If you're going to do public relations, you need to know you're doing public relations, and that means you try to get as many people to your movie as possible so you go out and sell the film. You don't go out and make political statements. All right, so I tell some of my Hollywood stories so that people know I have a little experience with this stuff when I talk about it. Yeah, they went radical left years ago, in the middle of me getting involved in that industry. They went way to the left, and I was way too conservative to be in their their movement. And you got to decide if that's what you want to do. But if you want to go out there and you go and everybody spends a lot of money to make a movie like Supergirl, and you get the opportunity to be the lead in it, that's a gift. That's not an entitlement. And just like with the Snow White case with Disney, or the way they've wrecked Star Wars and Hollywood, you'd say, do they understand? And the answer is, Hollywood, the best movies that came out of Hollywood were individual projects that were done outside corporate arenas, such as Star Wars. The big debate when Star Wars was bought, and I know people, he's talking about Star Wars again. Well, Star Wars is a major cultural event that shaped generations. And even to this day, people miss it. They miss the impact it had on society. You go to Target, you go to the aisle that had the Star Wars figures. Every September, like the first week of September, there was the new Hasbro dump day, and people would line up out the door to get the new Star Wars merch. And people miss having something in life where that's a thing. Now, I hinted around some of my Hollywood experience. I saw this happening up front, and I had a good friend of mine a couple of years ago, like, when are you going to direct a film? Because everybody knows. Who knows me? I've first 20 years of my adult life, I really wanted to be a film director. I wanted to make movies, write movies. I've written a few, and they've circulated around. It's got me close enough to talk to key decision makers in the business to understand what they're all about. And really the resolve was, can you put your political opinions on hold to go be in this industry? And the answer for me was no. And when I came to that impasse, I said, okay, I'm going to make a decision. I'm not going to get involved in that field. So I'm going to go help with the Tea Party movement. And then later, before that, it was the Reform Party, then the Tea Party, then the MAGA Party. And I'm going to make myself available to be in those things. And if you're going to be in these big movies and you have a studio that says, a big corporate studio that says, hey, we're going to put you in this big movie, do your best, go out and sell it. You have an obligation as an employee of that corporation to go out and even if you have personal opinions about it, you have a job to go out and say something. Go out and talk about the guys that are going to come see your movie, the dads, the Christian dads, because once the word gets around that you're anti-Christian and you're anti-dad and you're pushing woke politics, which is what happened with Supergirl, they're not going to come see your movie. not going to take their kids to see your movie. And you're going to have bad box office results. And you're going to leave Warner Brothers and everybody else holding the bag. Now, there's a lot more than just that actress that caused the problem. The Snow White situation with Disney was a disaster. Everybody saw it coming a year out. And then they go out and spend another $150 million on reshoots. We talk about the last Indiana Jones film, the award, and they deny it. Everybody who involved with the movie, including Frank Marshall, the producer, denies it. But I don't believe them. I think they fell for it. I think Kathleen Kennedy was on an anti-man rant, and they wanted to kill Indiana Jones. And the word got out that Indiana Jones was going to die in the last movie. And I think they filmed it that way. And then they had to go back and do reshoots. So they spent almost twice, according to reports, they spent almost twice the amount of the budget reshooting the film to fix it because people were going to boycott the movie. And that's what Hollywood just never understood, and including with my involvement in them. It was starting to turn then, as the late 90s, early 2000s. The wokeisms, the corporate wokeisms, where they were adopting all these communist policies, wasn't going to make good movies, and they were going to get buzzsawed into oblivion. And it takes more than just one bad actress to do bad public relations. You don't hear Zendaya going out there and saying stupid things like that. She married Tom Holland, the Spider-Man girl. She does great in Dune. She's a good actress. I think she's a good representation of that generation. But you don't hear her out there making a bunch of dumb political comments. It's going to tend to not get you the next job. And if your movie bombs that you're involved in, you're not going to get invited to make another one. Because you ultimately have to make money. And I talk about my experiences, my Hollywood experiences a little bit, because I was stunned when I talked to some of these people. I'd pitch a script, and I'd say, hey, this is going to be the next blockbuster film. And you have to give comparisons. I'm doing that right now with my book, The Politics of Heaven. But you go around and you shop it to all the big agents and the studios, and you're like, they're getting 50 to 100 of these scripts a day. So what makes yours different? Well, you want to tell them, well, it's going to make you a lot of money. It's like this movie that made you a lot of money. And it's astonishing how many executives in those, because they had to go corporate wokeisms, they had to hire DEI people way before it was popular. And they will tell you flat out in the pitch session, hey, we want message movies, not monies that are big grocers. And that's what's drowning Disney these days. I told you guys, Disney was never going to come back. You can go book a vacation at Disney. They're practically giving them away these days. They're giving you bonus days on multi-park passes, and Disney is never coming back. And I can tell you, I don't pay much attention to that, but I do have a new granddaughter, and it's weird to watch her go through all the stuff. So kids programming is good. Disney has always done good with kids under 5, but then you get all the weird purple people eaters who are animators trying to slide subliminal message of sexual objects and penises and breasts in the background of the Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, and they expect people not to notice it. And the studio execs don't notice it until after this first screening, that there's all these sexual innuendos that their animators put in these films. You lose your audience. And then once you lose your trust, you lose your audience. Just like these public schools are going through now. Once you lose trust of the public, you've lost them forever. They're never coming back to public schools. They're never coming back to Disney. And I can tell you in my own personal experiences, and this is one of the reasons why people say, well, what made you go from being a highly sought after entertainer, someone that was having people fly them around the country to make appearances, what made you go from that to a Tea Party activist? Well, I knew that there was no there. I mean, you can take a check for $1,500 $100 or $15,000 or $200,000, and the money goes pretty fast. But what do you have after that? Do you have any integrity left? And that was always important to me. And when you're selling to executives, we're like, well, we don't want to make money. We want a message movie. Do you have these messages in your script? If no, then have a nice day. See you down the road at Starbucks when we get down there to get our latte. And you're like, really? You don't want to make any money? I wrote this story to make the studio a lot of money. Now we want message movies. Oh, well, good luck on that. See how that goes. And now, 20 years later, studios are wondering why they lost their market appeal. They listened to the World Economic Forum where they said you're not going to own anything. You'll rent everything. Apple Music. You won't buy CDs anymore. You'll rent your music from Apple Music and Spotify. Oh, we'll just go out and buy old vinyl records, which is what's happening now. We'll go back in technology 40 years ago because we want to own our music. We don't want to rent it from Apple. When we have a power outage, we don't want to not be able to listen to our music. We want to hook the record player up to a generator and play something so we can rebel against power outages. We want to own our stuff. We don't want to rent everything off Netflix and Paramount Plus or HBO. We want to own our video library. And the studios and everybody listened to the wrong stuff. The corporatisms were all wrong, and now they're paying for it. And studios can't make money. They put out dumb movies like Supergirl and was it Captain Marvel? Brie Larson, remember the disaster that was? Her first movie did great because she didn't go out and run her mouth, and then she ran her mouth a little bit, and then there was major boycotts, and anything Captain Marvel appeared in after that bombed, and Marvel itself has bombed with Disney because they went woke. They had the gay stuff in the movies, and again, I'm talking about my youngest grandchild. I go and my daughter shows her Disney Mickey's Playhouse, and it's good, wholesome fun. Teach kids basics until the grooming period starts, and they start having Britney Spears out there kissing Christy Aguilera with Madonna brokering the whole thing. Because of their affiliation with Disney, there was a movement to dirty up all the people associated with that innocent childhood purity, because they're grooming children to become adult messes. Look at poor Britney Spears now. And I say poor because she was an entertainer. She trusted what the corporate people told her to do in the music industry, and she got used and abused. You make your deals with, let's not call it made deals with the devil. Let's say you made your deals with non-human intelligence, and now she can't make a TikTok video that gets anybody excited because she looks like a typical fool for a lot of subconscious reasons that are a whole topic of its own. But she did all the things they told her to do. They told her to kiss the girl and, be the pop star sexy vehicle for scandalous behavior as a former person who was just like Miley Cyrus. They take Hannah Montana and dirty her up, cover her in tattoos, and have her swinging on a wrecking ball naked to inspire other girls to become messes so that 50-year-old perverts can pick them up easily at a Waffle House. Hey, I'll buy your check. You just got divorced from your 20-year-old husband and you got 2 kids and you're not even 20 years old yet. I'll be your sugar daddy. You have low barriers to entry. So, and because you listened to the wrong music, you got drunk too much when you were a teenager, you had too many children, and now you're on your second husband and you're not even 20 years old yet. Come stay at my house. And so you have this whole system that uses and abuses people, and you prop up these young kids, and now they've put all these woke figures like this actors for Supergirl into these big projects. You invest $100-200 million into these projects, and you expect good results, and they go out there and chastise Christian dads, and that's just not going to get you there. I think Supergirl got beat by young George Washington. Angel Studios again continues to do it right. They know how to handle it. They're playing it the way that Disney used to play it, and now they're reaping the benefits. Young George Washington beat Supergirl at the box office for a couple of weeks. No big surprise there, but these young actresses that they hire for these jobs can't seem to put it away and understand that political dialogue doesn't have a place. If you're going to go out there and push your movie, talk about the movie, talk about the suit that you wore and how she's different than Superman. But again, who wants to see a wrecked person, an anti-hero Supergirl, the anti-Superman, which is essentially what she is? Who wants to see a wrecked disaster of a person? They actually thought that she was going to be more super than Superman. And they didn't bring back the original Superman. They should have. James Gunn essentially thinks he's going to keep re-hitting the Guardians of the Galaxy's messages in the Superman movies for DK Comics, and it's just not going to fly. You can't put wokeisms. People don't want wokeisms. And the more they did it, the more failure they're seeing. And I saw that years ago, and I got out of that rat race because I had to make a decision. Did I want to be political? Do I want to be a star, make a lot of money? Well, I decided to be political. Couldn't do both. And that's the case here. When you get a bunch of corporate executives that are brought in on DEI policies to run these studios, and they hire actresses like this to go out and do messaging that goes against white men that are Christian, you're alienating a huge part of your audience because you want message movies. And I had people personally tell me, does your script have this in it? Or is it adhering to these, and these? I said, well, it's all those things because that's what made money in the past, and that's why I made this script to make money for the studio. Well, we want the wokeisms. Okay, well, I can't do that. All right, we'll see you down at Starbucks when we pick up our latte in about 20 minutes. We don't have any use for you, Mr. Hoffman. And I'm not bitter about it, but you have to know that that it's the name of the game. And these actresses, Disney and Warner Brothers lets them go out and talk on the red carpet about anti-man, anti-toxic masculinity. They're against those things that people love. Moviegoers love masculinity. The new He-Man film had to have a disclaimer, I think, in the ending credits about the pressure of being judged as a he-man, an ulti-man. And there's a reason why that movie resonated nostalgically with 80s kids, because that's the toys they played with, just giant muscle man. That was a he-man, not a girly man, a he-man. Pronoun, he-man. The studios want to make money, but they want to have all these wokeisms. They want their corporate executives to maintain wokeisms when they're making scripts with all this DEI stuff in it. And then they hire actresses that are going to promote the stuff on the red carpet, and then they wonder why the movie doesn't sell well. Well, duh. You should have listened. Told you a long time ago. I've had to make decisions based along those lines. So do you. You can't you can't have it both ways. So tough toodles. Live and learn. And Hollywood is learning the hard way. Hey, Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
In the age of disclosure, you must understand the politics of heaven. Coming soon.
Coming soon, the politics of heaven in 2027. A treasure hunt through heaven and all human history.